Hello, welcome. I'm so excited to be back on YouTube. I missed you guys. Today I'll be talking about a really important topic, how to raise your level of consciousness. So, firstly, what is consciousness? It's just how present you are, how aware you are, how in your body you are. So I'll be giving you some tips today. I did it myself, and I want to share that knowledge. So the first thing that I actually started doing myself was I started meditating. You can even start with 5-10 minutes a day, ideally 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but this will shift your level of consciousness. And the great thing about consciousness is once it's shifted, it cannot go back to how it was before. It will just endlessly get higher and higher and higher, and that's a really beautiful thing. You don't need to worry about it. So I would just sit with yourself in the morning, every morning, and just be conscious of your breathing, become aware of your thoughts, be in your body, connect with this beautiful body of yours, and you might even, as a byproduct, feel peace, which is a beautiful way to start your day. And this will shift your entire day, I promise you. This second thing that really helped me, and I don't know if it was a sign of my consciousness evolving or it was my consciousness, how I made my consciousness evolve. I think it was both, but I started eating consciously without distractions. So I think this is a really beautiful, powerful tool because we usually eat 3 times a day. So it can be a really grounding moment throughout your day to remind yourself to come back to consciousness. So at first it sounds boring, like, no, I want to eat with my Netflix. That sounds so much more comforting. But I promise you this, when you start to eat with consciousness, which is as simple as being conscious of your breathing while you eat and really tasting each bite as if it was your first, a few things will happen. Firstly, the food will taste infinitely better because you'll actually be there tasting it. Secondly, you'll actually know when you're full and you won't overeat as much. So that's also another beautiful byproduct to this. And thirdly, it will raise your consciousness forever. So what's better? I love it. I really love my solo dates where I have, every time I eat really is just a real connection to myself and to the food. I pray over it. I'm that girl now. And I really enjoy it. Another thing that you can do is consciously walking. So it's a beautiful thing to bridge the gap between meditation and real life. So I like to consciously walk whenever I walk, but you can make this conscious meditation. Take yourself out to a park, and I know Dr. Joe Dispenza has some beautiful walking meditations you can try. I definitely did that at the beginning. I really like that. But you can also just be conscious of your breathing while you look around at the nature around you, and something beautiful will happen. I promise you. It's a shift, because usually when we're walking, we're in our mind or we are on our phones listening to music. I do that too. You can be conscious while listening to music, but it can be easier at the beginning to have no distractions. If you do want to listen to a podcast or something, I would recommend Eckhart Tolle's podcast because his voice gets me super calm, super present. His frequency is just quite incredible. I'm sure you guys know. So that can be something that can actually activate your level of consciousness. Then this is something that I don't think many people will tell you to do, and it's kind of funny, but I did it myself and it really helped me. I set a reminder on my phone every single hour of the day, of the waking day, and I still actually have it, which is kind of annoying now because I don't really need it, but it basically just says, reminder to take a deep, conscious breath. And this was a game changer for me because when you're at the beginning of your journey, not every breath is going to be conscious. You're mostly going to be unconscious. And seeing this reminder was like, oh, yeah, all right, that's like, it's honestly a very powerful tool to set a reminder on your phone, something that you're often on, to remind you to come back into your body and into the present moment. Because often when we're on our phones, that's kind of when we lose ourselves. So it can be powerful to have that as a tool to help you find yourself. And just honestly, moments of pause throughout the day. If that is like an afternoon nap, that could be a moment to simply reconnect with yourself and increase your level of consciousness. Just laying down and, relaxing. It sounds great, and I think it's great. It's easy. This shouldn't be so difficult. It actually should be an easy path to increasing your level of consciousness. There are some obstacles that do come up, and I will talk about those in a little bit. So my next tip is really, really simple, but this was a game changer for me. And this tip is to slow the F down. So when you're always running, you are always running. But when you slow down, you start to see the beauty in the present moment. Seriously. And I just remember I would just slow down and I would watch the dust in the air around me. I don't know how dusty these rooms were, but that always seemed to be dust around me. And I would just find peace in that. And it was a really beautiful moment. And then I started to live like that all the time. You don't have to walk in slow motion and not go for your run, or not, at work, sometimes I have to move fast. But it's nice to have those moments of slowing down, even just for your nervous system. It's really, really important. And this will shift your level of consciousness, I promise you. And yeah, this is kind of related, but look at the world around you. When you're walking, look at the details. This will help you become more present, more engaged with the world around you. I think often spirituality, you're meditating, you're in the higher dimensions, you're woo, woo, woo. I had a year of kind of being in bliss out. But when you actually become conscious of your breathing and you look at the world around you, you will become so grounded that it's not even funny. Like, you will be here in this earth, but you will also be connected to, God and the other realms, and it will be a really beautiful moment where you start to find heaven on earth. And then this is another point, and this is actually, I think this is the first thing that I started to do. I listened to a podcast. I think I was in college. I was 20, I think. And I started listening to a podcast called Unfuck Your Brain by Carl Lowenthal. And I highly recommend it if you're at the beginning of your journey, or even at any time, if you want to become more conscious of your thoughts and what you're thinking. This was huge for me, to realize that instead of being in the loop, that you are actually the consciousness behind the loop, and you don't need to engage with every single thought that comes into your head. You don't need to believe your thoughts. You can just simply let them pass. This will give you so much peace, I promise you. And this will raise your level of consciousness forever, baby. And also ask yourself, are these thoughts serving me? There is actually a big opportunity cost to being in your mind and kind of indulging in your thoughts. There is huge, which is the way that most people live. There's a huge opportunity cost to that, and that is not being in the present moment, not experiencing, I really got emotional, but the magic of, the present moment, and not, really being here, being in your body, and seeing the beauty of the world. And I know so many people I used to live that way too. And I would say 99% of people live that way. They have fleeting moments of presence, but when you really prioritize presence, your life will change. And this is going to bring me to my last point, which is basically that you can prioritize presence right now. You can prioritize being conscious of your breathing. Every single breath you breathe in every single present moment, you can make that your intention. And I did that. I think it was 4 years ago now. I was experiencing beautiful things. So I said, you know what? To me, this is more important than anything. My connection with God, with myself, is more important than anything. Being is more important than doing for me. So I did something kind of radical. I was like, you know what? Let me just see what happens if I prioritize my breath above all else. So I did that, and I got better and better at being conscious of my breathing. And now I'm pretty conscious of every breath I breathe, pretty much, unless I I'm watching TV. Sometimes I forget, or sometimes I have little get in the mind, but most of the time I'm just conscious of my breathing. And this has also had the effect of quietening my mind, which is super beautiful. But basically what I'm trying to say here, I'm not trying to big up myself, I'm trying to say that if you make the decision to prioritize consciousness above all else, your life will change and your level of consciousness will skyrocket and just keep increasing. But to do that, it's a commitment, and it's not something that you have to commit to and then it happens automatically for the rest of your life. When you're at a higher level of consciousness, it does start to happen automatically, but it's something that you really do have to choose every single moment. Like, you have to really choose it every single moment of the day. And it's a beautiful thing. It's kind of like, I've never been married, but it seems like that's what marriage should be like too. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a little couple things that will start to shift once you do shift your level of consciousness, what will happen. So you're not, completely alone in this, as I was. So one thing that might happen to you is that your world will start looking more HD, high definition. Don't freak out, it's a beautiful thing. It means that your level of consciousness is shifting and that you are being more present, and with that comes more definition in the things that you are seeing. And it really makes me feel very godly when I start to see, beautiful high definition. Even if I'm looking at trash bags, I'm like, oh, wow, it's stunning. And I'm not always in that state, but if I really practice it, especially if I go on holiday and I'm really conscious, by the end of the holiday everything looks godly, everything looks divinely perfect. Even airports are a beautiful time to practice this because there's so much visual stimulation. Just be conscious of your breathing, look at the world around you, and it will start to look more high definition. Then another sign that you are, increasing your level of consciousness is hopefully you feel more peace, more gratitude, more joy. And this is a stunning, beautiful thing. And maybe it's, the number one reason to do this. I would say it's incentive. However, I wanted to talk about the fact that when you do start doing this and you do start becoming more conscious, old emotions are going to unthaw inside of you. So these could be emotions from childhood, from last week that you repressed. There's going to be a lot that needs to come to the surface, and this can be difficult. You need to really surrender to it and breathe through the emotions that come up, knowing they will pass. But yeah, it's not going to be 100% easy ride. There will be negative emotions that come up, but take that as a sign that you're doing something right. There's a potential that your mind will act up a little bit or a lot before it starts to silence. So the mind, you can also call it the ego, it's scared of being lost, it thinks it's protecting you. And I think we all know that the mind is 99% useless. Sorry, I feel bad talking bad about the mind, but I think it's true. It's damaging and useless. And, you know, I had a really intense inner critic, and I was always being told that I was wrong. I should have done better. You know, it's probably only 10% of the time that your mind is saying nice things. At least that was my mind. So I just wanted to let you know that the mind may act up a little bit, and don't stop when that happens. Take that as a sign to keep going, because I promise you, your mind will quieten, and it will quieten quite quickly. It will, you know, I'm not saying it will go from 100% to 0. That takes, I mean, I don't think we ever get to 0, but that will take years of hard, dedicated consciousness. But I think for me, even the first year that I started meditating a lot and being more conscious, my mind quietened a lot. But then I would get these spikes of, you know, loops and things that came to the surface, usually paired with a negative emotion. So be conscious of that as well. When the emotions come up, the mind will act up. When the emotions simmer, the mind will also simmer. So yes, I think that's all that I wanted to say. Good luck. Let me know in the comments if, you know, how you're doing on your consciousness journey. If there's any other questions you have, if I can be of use, I would love to help you. And the sun is also leaving, so I think it's a good time. Thank you so much. I love you.